Good morning to one and all. Myself, Ansu Elsa Thomas, and my topic is Adaptive Reuse of India United Mill 2, Baikula, Mumbai. Mumbai, India's first and world's sixth populated city, is the capital of India in terms of commercial, entertainment, and financial. Bounded by the Arabian Sea on its west, it is India's first metropolitan city. The city, endowed with various cultures, has gone through a numerous transitions from the colonial era, and the post-independence era. Girangavon, a small mill present in India, was where the first cotton mill was established by Thare Narabai in 1865. Over about 600 acres of land was dedicated to the textile industry alone. The reason behind this huge development was to export the cotton needed for the mills in England, which were procured from hinterlands of Bombay. From 1865 to 1921, the mill industry of India thrived. In 1985, the technological advancement of the machineries, the strike of workers due to low wages, rising costs, taxes, and various other restrictions by the government led to the downfall of the textile mill in India. Majority of the mills were closely shut down. Redevelopment of mill lands. In 1990, DCR 58, that is Development Control Regulation, came into existence. The mill owners were allowed to change the use of the mill from industrial to residential or commercial. The map shows the location of 52 mills in Girangaon that establish a unique fabric of this region. Mills, workers' housing, worship centers are some of the dominant elements in the urban characteristics of Girangaon. The project takes into consideration a district that covers 7 mill lands in the heart of Girangaon. This region lies between two of the most important artery roads in Mumbai, that is Eastern Freeway and Eastern Express Highway. Out of these two mills, New Hind Textile Mill and India United Mill Number 5 are already developed. The other mills have individually proposed plans. Why India United Mill 2? It has a large site area as compared to other mill sites. The strategical uh, Why India United Mill 2? Large site area as compared to other mill sites. Strategical location to railway stations and roads. Ideal for a public space due to its environment. First mill structure to be part of Mumbai's heritage list. Project feasibility. Heritage conservation is a major factor in knowing about the architecture of a particular time period, as well as in promoting tourism. The 80-plus-year-old mill present is almost in ruins. The need to conserve it becomes relevant as it is one of the best examples of Victorian mill architecture. As both India and mill has a history on textile, they could both be combined in reviving the mill present. It is a live project proposal by BMC to recreate recreational sports and for urban renewal of the city. The development is under two phases. Phase 1, museum and its surrounding, India United Mill 2, and Phase 2, recreational ground, India United Mill 3. The project takes under consideration phase number 1. Aim. The aim of the project is to explore the possibilities of adaptive reuse in converting an old mill into a recreational zone along with the textile museum. Objectives. To convert the existing mill precinct into a new neighborhood which has its own distinctive new characters and ambience along with the retained character. To identify the possible structures that can be retained in the mill precinct. To assign new users for the retained. To identify the new design language that can be incorporated with the existing structure. Scope. The study aims to cover the conservation of textile mill and adapting it to a recreation zone. It also includes designing of spaces which will educate them about textiles but also connect them to textiles by means of workshops and activities. Limitation. The design should adhere to the existing site conditions. The project does not go in depth about the structural system and details. The detailed planning would be limited to 10,000 square meter. The new design language should go with the existing ones. The site is located at Kala Chowki, Baikula East, Baikula, Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. It is located at a mixed use area approximately 900 meters away from Cotton Mills railway station. The adjacent road has a minimum width of 9 meters. The Tukram-Bikaji Road connects to Eastern Express Highway and the Rambhogi Marg connects to the road that lead to Eastern Freeway. The nearest landmark is Mumbai Central, which is 3.8 kilometers, and the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminal is 5.7 kilometers, followed by the Chhatrapati Shivaji Airport, which is at 15 kilometers from the location. India United Mill 2 and 3 was earlier known as India United 2 and India United 3 respectively. The site consists of mill structures of 80 to 25 years of age. It is owned by Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation. The site is significant for its historical, social, and mill culture. The structures are done in colonial industrial architecture. The site shows signs of water seepage, broken windows and doors, damaged load bearing walls, roof leakage, damaged beams and columns. The site is encroached by laborers and destroyed due to heavy wind and rainfall. The site and its precinct belongs to Grade 3 according to Heritage Conservation status. These consist of buildings that determine the character of the locality and can be representative of a lifestyle of a particular community or region and may also be distinguished by setting or special character of the facade and uniformity of height, width and scale. Site and surroundings. The site is surrounded by other mills of similar typologies, chawels and mixed-use buildings which have been adapted from the existing ones. According to the Master Plan of Greater Mumbai, the site and its surroundings belong to the urbanization zone with commercial and mixed-use development. Right now, the site and its precinct is pretty much abandoned with very least activities and pedestrian flow. The detailed design of India United Mill 2 will serve more opportunities to create increased pedestrian flows and street networks along the length of the plot. This will enhance the streets and eventful landmarks along the Heritage Walk within the precinct. Sun and wind analysis. The predominant wind direction is from northwest, and towards that part of the site there is fewer buildings of height that varies from 4.9 meter to 9.8 meter. This allows more breeze to enter the site. Noise analysis. The junction at southeast side is a point of high traffic as it is where most of the retail shops, vendors, mixed-use buildings are situated. But the abundant vegetation in the site reduces the effect of the surrounding traffic. View analysis. The thick vegetation along with the heritage structures bring an oldie charm to the site and its surroundings. The area around the pond gives scenic views along with a view towards the mill buildings. The main entry to the site is from southwest side and it has two other service entries from northwest and southeast. The buildings are all oriented in the east-west direction which calls for least amount of openings on east and west side. Godown, offices, ring and spinning, weaving, semi-auto luminescing department, billing department, chimneys are the few functions for which each blocks are assigned. All the blocks are huge and mammoths in size and each of this area varies from 500 square meter to 8,000 square meter. Each block consists of a set of lattice columns and beams which vary according to the size of the machineries that is being kept. The section AA is from west to east, cutting through Godown, semi-auto luminescing department, Godown and baling department. The section BB is from north to south. Each floor height measures to 4.8 meters and the chimney goes up to 45 meters. The most common type of roof found is the M-shaped roof. The other variety is the north light and flat roof. The Victorian style facade consists of elaborately decorated columns and windows. The window height ranges from 1 meter to 3 meters. The width mostly is 1.5 meters. The height of the windows from the floor varies from 50 cm to 80 cm and 2.2 meters, depending on the functions of the block. The site consists of about 110 trees of height varying from 3 meters to 25 meters. Ashoka, Peepal, Indian cherry and Umber are the trees in more numbers. The other varieties include Putranjiva, rain tree, Ratangunj, Bokeda, Ficus racemosa, Jungli badam, etc. The most commonly used materials is double glazed glass for windows, wood for rafters, Mangalorian tiles for roof, plaster and stone for walls, rust iron for columns, windows and doors frames. The suggested framework by Intouch Gujarat was used to analyze the heritage status of each building. It consists of 5 broad categories: context and location, significance, age, unique architectural features, state of conservation. and each category has a certain amount of value towards it. Structures 1, 2, 3, and 4 were analyzed and were found that 3 and 4 were of immense importance. The structure number 3, which is currently the semi-auto loom and sizing department, is about 60 years of age, and structure number 4, the ring and spinning structure, is about 85 years of age. Among the structures 5, 6, 7, and 8, structures 5, 6, and 8 were of importance. Among that, the structure 5 is currently the weaving shed is of 85 years of age. The chimney, that is structure 8, is about 65 years of age, and structure number 6 also is about 65 years of age. Structures 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 were analyzed, and from that, structure 11, which is currently the go down, were the only one that to be retained. It's because of the fact that all the other structures were in a poor state of conservation. From the analysis, it was found that structures 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 11 were the only ones to be retained. Structure 1 could be retained. Structure 2, 7, 10, and 12 were the ones to be demolished. The concept or design approach that I chose was In the Style of Original by Eugene Violet Leduc. It means that modern interventions can be done in such a way that they can be recognized as such to avoid misunderstandings about the historic and artistic value of the building. Yet, the interventions done are in the original style of the building. The figure 1 shows original site plan. Structures 2, 6, 8, 10, and 16 are removed because they are too weak to adapt structurally or didn't have an heritage value. The yellow color shows structures that can't be adapted for any function but can be used as a decorative element in design due to its aesthetic appearance. The gray color structure shows that it is a unique structure in the site, but it can't be preserved due to its poor state of conservation. A zoning is done to assign new functions to each building. The main entry for the museum visitors is provided from west, which is distinguished by its facade. In order to get a spacious front view, unhindered by parking, it was provided in the basement. Since it is not possible to give an existing structure a basement, structure number 1 was removed. Structure number 2. The large monolithic structure, flexible in open plan, minimum sunlight entry, strategic position at the main entry, and also the structure with most of its existing features intact makes it suitable for a museum. Structure number 3. The building for the auditorium was so chosen that in such a way that it can be a part of the museum as well as an independent entity. Also, it is a structure that can be accessed from both the entry points. Structure number 4. The service center. The double height structure located at a considerable distance from the museum perimeter and the public is ideal for the service location. It is also one of the double story structures but as a single floor. Structure number 5. Research Center. It is the only 4-storied structure in the entire present which is located at the rear end. Also, most of the workers would be accessing the railway station, which makes it easier for them to access from the rear end. The entry from east can be used by the workers as it is close to the nearby railway station. Structure number 6. The strategic position near the water body and the double height volume of the space makes it ideal for a library. Structure number 8. Craft demonstration zone. This zone requires good amount of light since it involves people demonstrating crafts. Existing wall facade and absence of roof makes it flexible in design to bring light and ventilation. Since structure number 8 has a flat roof, it can be utilized as a recreational zone by giving it an additional floor. Also, it gives a scenic view towards the water body. Structure number 9. The 3-floor structure at the main entrance with its compact floor area has been changed into the office. The figure 1 shows the existing structure. The figure 2 shows the changes made on it. An additional structure was added on top of the existing one to emphasize on the importance of the function of the structure and also to create a double height space for the museum. The southeast end was opened up for circulation. Since the structure needs to have a new replacement roof, the additional changes doesn't cause any material loss. The existing entry was used. The zone was divided into 4 different areas. Since the museum doesn't require any natural light, it was placed closer to the southeast end. The auxiliary facilities were placed to the southwest side. Storage was placed right in the middle of the service and service zone. The service area was placed closer to the southeast side because of the southeast entry. Also, further the zone further the area was divided based on the grid pattern. Since circulation and other facilities require light, it was placed closer to the perimeter of the structure. Craft demonstration zone and amenities. The figure 1 shows the existing structure. The figure 2 shows since the structure doesn't have an existing roof, the extraction space doesn't cause any wastage of materials. This also adds enough ventilation for the interior space. An additional floor is added on to the existing, which hosts various other amenities such as restaurants and shops. The added volume gives picturesque view of the site. This is shown in figure number 3. Primary zoning of ground floor. In the primary zoning, the ground floor is mainly divided into 3 different zones: the office and the craft demonstration museum and the service area for it. The further zoning of it is based on the existing grid pattern. The zoning of the first floor. First floor is primarily divided into 4 different sections: the office, the restaurant and service area, then the restaurant and the shops. For easy access, the restaurant is placed closer to the northwest side, and the shops is placed to the southeast end. An internal south to north and east to west circulation is provided in the planning. Library. The figure 1 shows the existing structure. The figure 2 shows that an addition was to the existing in place of the demolished structure for space. Auditorium. The figure 1 shows the existing structure. The figure 2 shows that an addition was done to the existing to give double height for the auditorium, and a small portion from southeast was removed for circulation. It is mainly divided based on the 2 entries, that is the west gate and the east gate. The main entry for the visitors is provided from the southwest end. In place of the existing structure, a new building of similar characters is done. It houses the main gateway entry for the museum, the ramp to the basement, the ticket and baggage claim, and also the lift from the basement. This is done so that all the preliminary activities before entering the museum could be completed at the entrance level, which gives a very vast open space in front of the museum. The figure 1 shows a view of the museum and the office building from the entry. Going through the small pathway between the office and museum, one entered the main courtyard, that is the courtyard A. From courtyard A, one could access the office, the main museum, and the craft demonstration museum. After exiting the craft demonstration museum, one could go directly onto the beautiful scenic gardens. After the courtyard A comes courtyard B. From courtyard B, it can be library, research center, and auditorium could be accessed. The service entry for the craft demonstration zone and the restaurant is provided on the southwest side. The service entry for the museum and the services is provided from the south side. Parking for the museum premise workers is provided at the southeast side. The parking is housed inside the ruins of the existing building's walls. The first floor plan. The parking for the museum visitors. On the roof plan, it shows that sloping roof is the most commonly used roof typology according to the existing. Peepals and ashokas are provided at the peripheries as they control air pollution and helps in maintaining the clean environment. A few of the existing walls has banyan trees growing on it. This is maintained as such. Indian beech, gulmohurs, crepe myrtle, mostly the flowering evergreen trees, are provided on the walkways in between the buildings. Bogeda, jungli badam, umber, putranjiva, large shady evergreen trees and bushes are used to create a visual barrier between the parking and the open spaces. In the courtyard A, one enters the main museum. The main museum has 2 wings, the east wing for galleries, west wing for other supporting facilities. And also, the southern end is for the storages. The existing grid was used, which helped in creating a series of galleries of different visual experiences. The entry leads directly to the information desk. The ground floor has mainly 5 different types of museums. Number 11 shows a pre-colonial Mumbai era gallery. The number 12 shows colonial Mumbai gallery. 13 shows the Mill Museum. 14 shows the post-independence Mumbai gallery. 15 shows the traditional Indian equipment galleries. Though there is a preferred circulation pattern, the plan is made flexible so that the visitors can circulate according to their wish. The stairway to the first floor is kept closer to the external walls so that they can be lit using the natural light. Moving on to the west side is where the guest lobby, the curator's office, workers' lounge, duck spaces, janitor's closet, baby feeding room, men's toilet, ladies' toilets are. The storage facilities can be accessed from both the west wing and also the east wing. This is done so as to ease the circulations of the workers. The exit from the main museum is kept directly in front of the craft museum so that one can easily find it without any confusion. Type of exhibitions in the ground floor. In the pre-colonial and colonial era, the textiles are housed inside a 2-meter height box which is kept at 30 centimeters from the floor. This is done to get the eye level of the viewers at 1.7 meters, which is ideal. In the next typology, that is for post-independence era, the exhibits are kept inside a cuboidal box. This is done as most of the exhibits will be 3D objects. Next is the mill museum, which houses the mill machineries. The mill machineries are kept on the floor itself and are kept inside a closed boundary. The lighting for each exhibits vary according to the exhibit typologies. In pre-colonial and colonial era, most of the objects displayed are 2D. In such a case, spotlighting is the one used that is to use to create a dramatic effect. Post-independence era, 3D objects are displayed and such lighting is done at 30 degrees to create a shadow and depth. In the mill museum, spotlighting is mainly used. The first floor can be accessed either through the lift or by the stairs. The first floor has 2 galleries, that is the Indian fabric collection and the temporary exhibition space. The exhibits are hanged as panels and it also has a platform on which they could be placed. In the Indian fabric collection, the fabrics are made to hang from the ceiling from a height of 9.8 meters. The light projectors are angled at a way that they are able to create internal lighting from the exhibits. The exit from main museum leads one directly to the Indian Textile Craft Demonstration Museum. The existing grid pattern helped in dividing the place into a series of rooms. Each unit has the various amenities it requires. The main units are embroidery units, ikat units, print textile units, hand woven units. The staircase on the east end carries one directly to the first floor. The office also uses the existing grid pattern. The first floor has 2 restaurants and 2 non-AC shops. The service entry for the restaurant is provided from the east end of the office. Near the office, all the restaurant staff can access each other's space. In order to avoid water clogging, a small gutter is placed in between the valleys. The gutter further leads to a pipe which collects it to the rainwater harvesting tank. The material used is cotton steel, which is known for its low maintenance, lower initial cost, speed of construction, attractive appearance, environment friendly, resistance to higher temperature. The approximately 7 cm thick cotton steel panel is attached to a 20 cm wall. Traditional king post truss is mainly used as for the roofing. Adaptive reuse was chosen as a special topic. Case studies were done on it. The inferences gathered from the case studies were applied on the design. For museum, stacked palisade was used, that is, an addition was added onto the existing floor vertically. The windows added are of the same proportion but is given plain instead of any divisions to differentiate between the existing. Sloping roof of same height is given in order to maintain a proportionality with the existing. For craft demonstration zone, a stacked palisade was again used. The upper portion is given a glass wall instead of small windows. Sloping roof is given in order to match the characteristics of the old. For library, juxtapose was done. It means that an additional volume was added horizontally. The windows exactly are of the same proportional of the existing. For auditorium, the stacked palisade was done. A floor was added vertically. Instead of giving small windows, a divided curtain glass panel is provided to let more sunlight. In generally, the most commonly used type of intervention was palisade stack, that is adding an addition to the structure. The cotton steel, glass panels and steel is mostly used to give a contrasting character with the existing as well as to give the industrial nature of the site. Cotton steel is a corrosive resistant material which over time gives an old rustic character to the structure. The roof typology is kept the same as existing to give a uniformity. Depending upon the function of the structure, the window size varied. In museums, the same as of the existing is given, whereas in library and auditorium it is changed, but the character of the existing is given. For restaurants and shops, a complete glass facade is given to inlet more sunlight.